You are 3 weeks from finishing your novel. You stop writing. You are 6 months into a diet. You binge. You are one conversation away from getting that promotion. You pick a fight with your boss. This isn't a coincidence. It isn't weakness. It isn't bad luck. This is your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do. And today, we're going to find out why, and more importantly, what you can do about it.
Here's something that genuinely surprised me when I first read the research. Your brain does not distinguish between good stress and bad stress. Neuroscientists call this affective valence blindness in the stress response system. When your amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, detects a large, unexpected change in your life, it fires. It doesn't stop to ask whether the change is a promotion or a car crash. Change is change. Threat is threat. Welcome to the Everyday Why, where we take the science hiding behind ordinary life and turn it into something you can actually use. I'm going to show you 3 things today. First, the real neuroscience behind why success feels threatening to your brain. Second, a specific psychological phenomenon called the upper limit problem and why it affects everyone from elite athletes to first-time entrepreneurs. And third, a 4-step framework you can use to recognize when your own brain is working against you and override it. Stay with me. This one gets uncomfortable before it gets useful. Now here's where it gets interesting. Scientists at the University of Wisconsin found that people who were told they were about to receive a large financial reward showed elevated cortisol levels, the stress hormone, comparable to people who were told they were about to be given a mild electric shock. Read that again. The anticipation of reward triggered the same biological stress response as the anticipation of pain. Your brain doesn't hate failure. Your brain hates uncertainty. And success, real, life-changing success, is one of the most uncertain things a human being can experience. So what does the brain do? It retreats to what it knows. Psychologists call this a return to baseline. Your nervous system has a set point, a level of comfort, familiarity, and predictability it considers safe. Drift too far above that set point, and the brain will pull you back down. Not because it wants you to fail, because it wants you to survive. This mechanism kept your ancestors alive on the savannah. In the context of a modern goal, a business, a relationship, a creative project, it is quietly killing your potential. In 2010, a therapist named Gay Hendricks published a book called The Big Leap. In it, he introduced a concept that I think is one of the most useful frameworks in modern psychology, and it's almost completely unknown outside therapy circles. He called it the upper limit problem. The idea is simple. Each of us carries an internal thermostat, a subconscious ceiling on how much success, love, happiness, and abundance we believe we are allowed to experience. When life rises above that ceiling, the brain triggers a self-sabotage behavior to bring things back to this safe level. The behaviors vary person to person. Some people start fights with their partners right after a career breakthrough. Some people get mysteriously sick before an important presentation. Some people procrastinate, not at the start of a project, but right at the finish line when success is within reach. What makes this pattern so insidious is that it looks like self-destruction from the outside. It feels like weakness. It might look like anxiety or laziness or bad luck. But it is your brain executing a protection program it wrote years ago, often in childhood, and running it automatically without your permission. Here's the key question Hendricks asks. Where did your ceiling come from? For many people, it traces back to early experiences with success and the reactions it caused. A child who outperformed their siblings and noticed resentment in the family. A student who won a competition and lost a friend. Someone who worked hard and was told they were getting above themselves. The brain catalogs these events. It builds a model of the world where too much success is socially dangerous, and then it enforces that model, silently, automatically, for the rest of your life. Unless you see it, which is what we're doing right now. Now, let's go deeper into the neuroscience, because Hendrix's framework is compelling. But in recent years, brain imaging research has given us an even more precise explanation for what's happening. It comes down to something called dopamine prediction error. Here's how it works. Your brain's reward system constantly makes predictions. Every time you take an action, your dopamine system predicts whether the outcome will be better or worse than expected. When reality is better than predicted, you get a dopamine spike. When reality is worse, you get a dopamine crash. But here's what most people don't know. The anticipation of success, the period right before you achieve something, is actually when the dopamine system is most vulnerable to a crash. Why? Because the higher you build your expectation, the further you have to fall if it doesn't work out. The brain runs a risk calculation, and it decides the safest thing is to deflate the expectation now, create distance, lower the stakes, protect against disappointment. The practical result? The closer you get to your goal, the harder it becomes to feel motivated. The finish line produces paralysis, not acceleration. This is not a character flaw. This is neurochemistry. Researchers at Stanford's Human Performance Lab found that elite athletes who understood this mechanism performed significantly better in the final stretch of competition than those who didn't. Not because knowing it eliminated the effect, but because recognizing the feeling as a neurological pattern rather than a signal to stop allowed them to continue through it. You can't think your way out of a brain state, but you can recognize one, and that recognition changes what you do next. So, what do you actually do with all of this? Here's a 4-step framework I call SPOT. And yes, I made the acronym work because acronyms help you remember things under stress, which is exactly when you'll need this. S. See it. The moment you notice yourself pulling back from a goal, pausing on a project, picking a fight, or feeling suddenly exhausted by something you were excited about yesterday, name it. Say out loud or in your head, my brain is upper limiting. Naming the pattern interrupts the automatic loop. P. Pause the behavior. Don't engage with the sabotage. If you're about to send the passive-aggressive email, don't. If you're about to open Instagram instead of finishing the chapter, close the laptop. You are not addressing the emotion. You are simply creating a gap. O. Orient toward the discomfort. Ask yourself, what exactly feels threatening about succeeding here? Not failing, succeeding. Sit with that question. The answer won't always be comfortable. Sometimes it involves grief, identity, or relationships. That's okay. You're mapping the ceiling. T. Take one small step. Not the whole project, not the whole goal. One tiny, undeniable action toward the thing you were about to abandon. Send one paragraph. Make one call. Close one loop. The neuroscience of momentum is real. Action generates dopamine, and dopamine makes the next action easier. The goal isn't to eliminate the self-sabotage response. That's not realistic. It's wired into your biology. The goal is to see it fast enough to act differently. And every time you do, you raise the ceiling a little higher. Here's the thing about self-sabotage that I want you to take away from today. It is not evidence that you are broken. It is evidence that your brain is working exactly as it evolved to. The problem isn't the mechanism. The mechanism is ancient and powerful and in many contexts still useful. The problem is running a Stone Age protection program on a 21st century life. Now you can see it, and that changes everything. If this video made you think of someone who needed to hear it, send it to them. That's the most powerful thing you can do for this channel and for someone you care about. And if you want the next piece of this puzzle, how to actually rewire those deep subconscious ceilings over time, subscribe and hit the bell because that video is coming. I'll see you in the next one.